Pleasantdale School District 107 Board of Education at 6 p.m. on May 21st, 2025. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Braca?
Here.
Mrs. Lenzen? Here. Mr. Nash?
Here.
Mrs. Walters?
Here.
Mr. Zona?
Here.
Mr. Mason?
Here.
Mrs. Marchione?
Here. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Great. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Arundel, who is going to introduce our pledge sayers for today.
All right, so each year, the West Suburban Consortium for Academic Excellence hosts an art exhibition to honor outstanding young artists in grades K through 8. The WSCAE Annual Art Show took place on Saturday, May 3rd at Cheney Mansion. Art educators from 55 schools make up the West Suburban Consortium of Academic Excellence, and they worked together to plan, organize, and run an art show that highlights the outstanding art students that exist within the consortium. Pleasantdale was asked to select 16 students, 8 from the elementary, 8 from the middle, actually 9 from the middle. They were selected to be showcased, and they're all 8th graders. These students represent the work ethic, creativity, and eye for detail that it takes to make captivating artwork. Please congratulate the following 9 students, and we have 2 of them here. Leo Frank, Julia Grazanos, close on her name, Scarlett Klein, Maddox Lee, Diego Lozano, Aria Lyons, Mikey Pulley, Andrea Soria, and Quinn Waddell. And tonight we have Julia and Scarlett with us with their artwork that their parents are graciously holding. And just display some of the artwork that we've done throughout the years. So they're here to say the pledge with us tonight.
What was the medium? Like chalk, pencil?
It was all of the medium throughout the year, and they could choose a piece to enter into the contest.
Got it. Awesome.
Into the art show.
Awesome.
So, like,
Yeah.
pretty great.
Amazing.
It's an awesome event. I go every year, and there are hundreds and hundreds of pieces, and the Pleasantdale pieces every year, like, they just pop. You can just see them as you walk through. You know exactly which kids are Pleasantdale kids, because the quality of the artwork is just amazing.
Amazing.
Just amazing.
Really exciting.
Good stuff. Congratulations.
All right. How much do you need? Okay, here we go.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we get a picture of you guys with your art?
Car in store, just kids.
I think you earned to be on our Facebook page. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
I will.
Great job, guys.
Were you in the picture? Thank you so much. You can go. All right. Great job.
Okay, we'll move into Bradford.
Yeah, so we do have some new work on our brag boards. Our kindergartners have been busy with hands-on spring science exploration throughout the months of April and May. Our kindergarten students learned about chickens, plants, and the butterfly life cycle through our CKLA Amplify curriculum, read-alouds, and real-life experiences. Our students were fortunate enough to make first-hand observations as they watched chicks hatch in their classrooms, caterpillars transition to butterflies, and the seeds that they planted grow into flowers. Spring is definitely in the air. Our kindergartners' work is on display for the rest of the month. Take some time to check it out. It's pretty cool. Nice job, kindergartners.
All right, next we'll move into item 3, open forum. Please know that all individuals addressing the board will be afforded 3 minutes. We'll also limit to 15 minutes on any one topic, and we'll take the green forms in the order they were received. The green forms are out in the hallway. If you have a question, we will acknowledge all who have completed the green forms in the minutes of this meeting. Any questions addressed to the board will be answered by the administration within 48 hours. Additionally, for clarification and to ensure that your specific questions are answered, we request that the questions be submitted in writing on the green form. Do we have anyone that would like to approach the board at this time? Here. Laura?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Laura Katea, and I'm here as a concerned member and parent of this school community. Tonight, I want to speak directly to the decision to allow a teacher, Almir Enzo, back into our schools after being arrested for criminal sexual abuse. Not convicted, I understand, but arrested. And that means there was enough evidence for law enforcement to act. Children who experience sexual abuse often delay disclosing what happened. The average delay is over 20 months, and many victims don't speak out until adulthood. That delay doesn't mean it didn't happen. It means they were scared, ashamed, or unsure if they'd be believed. To ignore this fact ignores everything we know about how abuse works and how trauma silences people. What's worse is the chilling environment that this has created for other staff. Teachers have said that they are afraid to speak up, and how could they not be when the principal, a leader who is supposed to protect staff and students, supposedly stood up and said that she was disappointed in the faculty for not being more welcoming to a teacher who was arrested for criminal sexual abuse. Let that sink in. She wasn't disappointed in the failure to ensure students feel safe. She was disappointed that staff didn't offer open arms to someone many of them fear. This isn't just about one person or one accusation. This is about whether we care more about adult reputations or child safety. Whether we're willing to create a climate where survivors and the people who want to protect them feel empowered to speak. Some of the responses I got from initial discussion was, well, lots of families were also excited that he was back. Sure, because over-friendliness can be a manipulation tactic by predators to build false trust and make victims doubt their own discomfort. Another one was, we followed protocol and it was unfounded. Unfounded does not mean untrue. Let me say that again. Unfounded does not mean untrue. And let's be clear, your protocol allowed someone arrested for criminal sexual abuse to return to a position of trust and authority in front of children. If that's what your protocol allows, then your protocol is broken. I'm asking for transparency, not just behind closed doors and in closed sessions, but with the community. Families, both current and incoming, deserve to know the full truth about who is working in their children's classrooms so that they can make informed decisions based on all the facts. I'm asking for policies that don't treat an arrest for child sexual abuse as a technicality. I'm asking for leadership that sides with survivors, not silence. And most urgently, I'm asking that this teacher be removed from any position involving contact with children, and that you take steps toward his termination. Arrests like this are not minor matters. They are red flags that demand action, not accommodation. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Tanya Kim. I've been a science teacher in the district for 17 years. Tonight I'd like to share two concerns regarding the middle school schedule, both which directly impact instruction for the student experience. First, WIN, formerly known as advisory. I want to be clear, I'm not here to criticize, dismantle WIN. My question is simple. Does our community need WIN 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week? This is a call to consider the instructional impact that WIN has had. Here's what happens in practice. Single period classes like Spanish, health, PE, tech, music, art, science, social studies, and special education resource classes are losing instructional time. In fact, these classes have lost up to 15 minutes per week, which adds up to about an hour a month. Math and ELA have also lost about 24 minutes per week each. That kind of lost time has real effects. Lessons are cut short and activities are reduced. My question and request, will the board members please issue a position or statement on whether the board supports the loss of 110 minutes of instructional time lost per week? Is there an alternative? My second concern is about the schedule. 2 years ago, the middle school format changed for scheduling. Since then, teachers and students have struggled. While we've heard yet again that adjustments have been made to the schedule for next year, the truth is the new format caused these issues and adjustments, and the adjustments have not been made. For example, next year's position posed classes for next year have huge imbalances. Some of the classes have 9, others 27 in the same content area for the same exact class. One math class has 4 students. One ELA class has 9. This is not balanced. Even if classes don't exceed board guidelines and limits, students in small or oversized classrooms do not receive the same quality of instruction. This year alone, 7th grade classes of mine range from 10 to 27 students, which makes labs very difficult. PE classes had as low as 8 or 9 students, not enough for even team activities. Class size imbalances are not a major problem with the current schedule, but many other problems exist. I didn't have time to address them all today. Question for the board: will the members of the board follow policy that caps class sizes to ensure that class sizes are balanced? Because extremes, whether too big or too small, are harmful to our students. Thank you for listening. I care deeply about our students, and I hope my concerns are taken seriously and are beneficial. Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to item 4, the consent agenda, which consists of the following. 4A, approve regular meeting minutes of the April 16, 2025 meeting. 4B, approve closed session minutes of the April 16, 2025 meeting. 4C, approve payment of the April payroll and May warrants, and Bill was our checker.
Yep, I just had one question and Griffin answered it. No problem.
Perfect. 4D, approve May 2025 personnel report. 4E, approve the food service contract and hot lunch fees. 4F, approve cleaning services for fiscal year 2026. 4G, approve PTTO intergovernmental agreement. And 4H, approve consolidated district plan. So can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? So moved.
One second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Baca?
Yes.
Mrs. Lenson?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchione?
Yes. Next, we'll move into item 5, administration reports. So I'll turn it over to Dave.
Great. So our first report is to review and approve the collective bargaining agreement for 2025-2030 over the course of the last several weeks. The district has engaged with our staff to draft a new collective bargaining agreement. The agreement has been reviewed and approved by the Teachers Association of Pleasantdale, and the final step is a presentation to the board and then board approval. And I'm just going to jump up to the podium real quick because we'll make it official. Why not? Great, thank you. Again, I want to just really commend Charles and Sean. Where am I putting this? Here we go. For their work on behalf of the board, and it was a really great process. I mean, I don't want to speak for you guys, and you'll have an opportunity to share your thoughts as we kind of go through this presentation, but you know, when we think of collective bargaining, we often think of, kind of, fists pounding on tables and lots of contention and a lot of kind of heat and anger, and that's not what this was. It was really trying to seek solutions and find interests of both sides. And so our goal as we worked through the process was to create a fiscally responsible but also fair contract for both sides, but also this idea of trying to recruit and retain the best possible staff. So I think you'll see that as a theme throughout these highlights that I'm going to share with you. So again, we used a modified traditional bargaining approach, which is not the traditional passing proposals across the table, but really working together to identify shared interests and then trying to dig into those interests to find out where the compromise lies. We did it in 4 working sessions. So 3 of those sessions were with a federal mediator, which again, part of the modified traditional process is working with a mediator. I know often when you hear, kind of the big negotiations with CPS and they say we're bringing in a federal mediator, that's when things have broken down. We start with a mediator because we feel having that third party in the room to help us work through any conversations that we're having is really important. And in the end, we ended up with a 5-year agreement that starts next year and goes through school year 29-30. Again, our district negotiators, myself, Dr. Van, Mr. Sontag, Dr. Negron, Mr. Zona, and Mr. Mason, and then our attorney, Ms. Bocek, was also a part of that process. And then on the TAP team, you have a really wide variety of people from teachers to ESPs. So again, Ms. Kim, who's here with us tonight, Mr. Reed, who's actually a retired teacher who's just been at, I think, every negotiation since the district started. Ms. Mankey, who's at the elementary school, Ms. Tantillo, who is a secretary in the district, Mr. Bush at the middle school, Ms. Deaton at the middle school, Ms. Martin at the middle school, and then Ms. Spartman, who is their UNISERV director. So again, really kind of robust group of people at the table looking to solve some issues. So when we think about negotiating, generally it comes down to finances, compensation, things like that. So what we're looking at is a 4.25 raise per year with a $1,000 increase to the base in years 1 and 2 and a $500 increase to the base in year 3. So then just the 4.5 increase in year, or I'm sorry, 4.25 increase in year 4, and then in year 5, what we did is we created this interesting kind of way to determine the increase. It's either going to be a 4.25 increase or a 4.75 increase based on the surplus that we're putting back into reserves. So if we're putting on average $1 million into reserves for each of those for the 4 years, then it would be a 4.75 increase. If we're putting less than $1 million into reserves, an average of $1 million, then it would be that 4.25 increase. So again, we're basing it on something. If the district is outperforming the projections, then we're going to provide a little bit more to the teachers. If we're not necessarily meeting those expectations, it would be 4.25. Again, really creative thinking there. ESPs are looking at a 4.25% raise with a $300 bonus for years 1 through 4, and then that same variable 4.25 or 4.75 based on reserves in year 5. Okay, sick leave. So what we did is we uncapped sick days for in regards to retirement for both teachers and ESPs. There's no real consequence to the district. Essentially, teachers can bank days with TRS and retire a couple years earlier if they've accrued enough days. There's no real reason to put a cap. It was 240, and quite honestly, everybody in the room, including John Reed, who has been there for the last 7-8 negotiations, had no idea where that 240 number came from. So uncapping really doesn't do anything. We for any days that aren't used for retirement, above and beyond any days that would be used for retirement, a teacher can cash in each one of those days for $25 a day up to 60 days, and then $10 a day after 60. So what that does is it's a motivation to kind of keep coming to work in those last few years, even though you've got more sick days than you could ever really use. We also moved to a tiered sick day approach for both teachers and ESPs. So in the past, it was 10 sick days for non-tenured teachers, 12 sick days for tenured teachers, and quite honestly, that was low based on market, based on comparables. So we looked at, again, this is that longevity piece, that recruit and retain piece, that as you spend more time here, you accrue more sick days. So again, I won't read them off for you, but you can see the number of sick days that people are accruing based on the years of service, and then the same thing for our 10-month employees and then our 12-month employees. Any questions so far? And I'll move on kind of quick. Okay. Well, we added a retirement incentive, and again, this is part of that. We want to retain the best possible staff, and having some incentives towards the end of a career help us do that. So if someone gives us, and really, honestly, this helps the district plan. It helps us budget. It helps us plan. We know when teachers are going to be rolling off the payroll, and we can assess our replacement costs and things like that much more effectively with a plan like this in place. So if a teacher gives us 4 years notice, they get 6% for each one of those last 4 years. If they give us 3 years notice, 5.5% for each of those last 3 years. Again, 2 years notice, 2.25%, and 1 year notice, they get the contractual rate. Now, we did want to make sure that if there are current employees who are considering retirement, that they weren't kind of locked into this lower rate. So anyone who retires within this, I believe it's this first year, are grandfathered in, and they'll get the 6%. So if someone wants to go in 2 years, we're not going to hold them to 5.25. We're going to make sure that they're able to get those 6% for those last 2 years. And again, there's a stipulation the district will not incur any type of TRS penalty based on this plan. Okay. We increased our hourly wages for our ESPs, and these are for new people coming in. So again, you see 25, 26 through $29.30. Again, well above the minimum minimum wage that is required both in Illinois and in Cook County, federal Illinois and Cook County. Just a couple of other financial pieces. Stipends we know stipends needed to move, but we wanted them to move fairly slowly. So it's a 0.8% increase annually each year of the contract. Lunch duty stays at $7,000 for years 1 and 2, and then moves up to $7,200 in years 3 through 5. We added we had some language around national board certification, but it was kind of weaker language. People weren't really taking advantage of the work that needed to be done. But we wanted to be really careful with this national board certification language because we're adding an increase to the base salary, so $1,000 per year for 3 years. So essentially they can get 3 years added to their base salary, and because that number compounds, we wanted to be really careful, so we put a max of 3 teachers per year for the life of the country. And then our horizontal movement, which means as a teacher gets their BA or their master's or continues to go back to school and achieve further college credits, there's either a $2,000 increase in those what we call steps or horizontal movement, but when you go to a master's degree, it's a $3,500 increase, and that's no change from what's in the current contract. Other kind of pieces of the contract. So when teachers do in-class sub or in-building subbing, so they may give up a plan period or a lunch period and they'll cover a class, we had kind of, to be honest with you, this kind of convoluted system that was one way at one school and another way at another school, and it was not easy for the business office to kind of shoehorn everybody into the system. So we just made it simple, $1 a minute, which is about what we were paying people once we kind of figured out on average what people were getting paid. So it's just nice and simple. It's a 30-minute period at the elementary school, you get 30 minutes. If it's a 40-minute period at the middle school, you get $40. Nice and easy. There was no change to the insurance benefits. And then we were giving teachers $1,419 annually for after-school meetings on Wednesdays. Rather than that being a separate amount, we just added that to the base pay because it's kind of what we were doing anyway, and it made it really hard for us to, this is kind of that recruitment piece, it made it really hard for us to explain to teachers, okay, here's the salary, but then on top of that, you're going to get another $1,400. Well, and then on top of that, we also pay tier. It just became really hard for us to explain that to new staff, especially a 21 or 22-year-old that, you start talking to them about retirement. And they're like, retirement in 2075? You mean when they have flying cars? Like, I'll worry about that later. And so some of these conversations, some of these changes will help us to have those conversations with new staff. And that is kind of the major kind of overview. Any questions, any feedback from Charles or Sean on the process? Anything I can answer for you guys?
I thought it was great. I've been in 3 of them now, and I don't know, they're very, you get to know the teachers and the culture, and yeah, it's just a very nice process.
Yeah.
There was no.
I agree.
It was.
I really, as much
great.
agita as I get around negotiations, yeah, I really do enjoy the collaborative piece of it, working through these, thinking about the problems differently.
Yeah, just putting them out there.
Yeah.
This is the problem.
Let's solve it.
How are we going to solve this?
Yeah, my big takeaway was that there were some disagreements, as there are going to be, but nothing was ever disagreeable. It was always working towards a goal of finding a solution. And I hope Tommy felt that, but that was the tenor of the negotiations as I saw it.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I'm happy with the outcome. I think it was a good
Everyone
process.
should be a little bit unhappy, right?
Well, we try not to.
That's a good result.
So
Thank you all so much.
And thank you for the wonderful experience as well.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Charles, we've thrown him out there every time it comes up, and then Sean.
He's the man.
Sean's welcoming present to the board.
And I know it's a labor of love. They're long days, and there's sometimes disagreements, like you said, but
We owe you some Starbucks.
it seems like this was a very healthy and creative, and everyone was happy in the end process. So thank you, Charles, Sean, and Mrs. Kim.
Well, and the teachers brought cute barbecue a lot, which
I
I
was gonna say
think that was a big part of it.
So it's not.
That's hard.
Put you in food coma.
Yeah, right? Sure, whatever.
So then the next thing is just to approve it, so I'll let you.
Yeah, so can we have a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the teachers of Pleasantdale from school year 2025, 2026 through 2029, 2030?
So moved.
Second.
Bill, your second?
Mr. Bracco?
Yes.
Mrs. Lanson?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion?
Yes.
Congratulations. You did it.
Thank you.
See you in 5 years.
All right, moving right along. Collective bargaining agreement, or I'm sorry, we already did that, strategic roadmap. Last year, the board approved a new 5-year strategic plan that we've called our strategic roadmap. This document guides the work that we do in the district and serves as an important generator for our school's improvement. Tonight, we will celebrate the progress we've made this year and discuss the action steps moving forward. So I'm gonna take my place back at the podium again. All right, so again, really wanting to go through and talk a little bit about the action steps that we've completed, some of the successes, celebrations for this year, and then also talk about where are we going as we move forward in our process. So again, we have 4 goal areas. We have student success, safety and well-being, responsible resource management, and then community connection. Again, should be reviewed from the presentations that we have. And actually, a lot of what you hear tonight, or some of what you hear tonight, is going to be repeated, right? Because other presentations that you may have heard from Dr. Ban or from our principals, from Griffin, everything kind of funnels back toward the strategic roadmap. So some of the information is going to be repeated, but I wanted to give kind of that high-level overview of some of the work that's taken place. So again, we've really focused on creating this multi-tiered system of supports and implementing a team to really oversee that. We've worked with a network coach and provided coaching to that group. We've had retreats and done lots of professional development around MTSS. We've established protocols for database problem solving and really tried to put kids in the interventions that are going to have the highest kind of yield results. And so we have math, ELA, we're looking at behavior interventions that we can put in place for kids. And then also implemented a data review guide that helps guide our decisions. Moving on with some of our student successes. IEP support and diverse learning resources. Again, looking at co-teaching retraining for some of our teachers. You know, those pairs oftentimes will change, and we want to make sure that teachers are staying sharp, so making sure that we're giving them the support that they need there. We looked at 350 multilingual books in 22 languages in our library, so that was the other thing. We want to make sure that the books that kids are able to read are reflective of their lived experiences both in and out of school. We have a world language database with 100 plus books in 18 languages, looking at high interest books that are going to meet the needs of all students, even some of them who are still emerging readers. And then we also work with this, it's called Boundless, it's an app, and it gives our second language learners just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different texts that they can choose from. So again, really trying to make sure that we're meeting kids where they're at. As we look at our advanced learning and SEL, we're monitoring protocols for fourth grade, for grades 4 through 8 in ELA and math. So putting those protocols in place and making sure we're monitoring kids to make sure they get the support they need. We're expanding our PBSS and SEL push-ins at the elementary school. We also have that fun school store where they spend their eagle feathers, I believe. And then at the middle school, looking at that win period, and then looking at SEL goals that help with self-awareness and decision-making with some of our older students. In the category of safety and well-being, and this is where I give Griffin a lot of credit. He has really taken that wellness committee and really kind of making it his own. We had 75% of our staff members participate in our wellness screening of flu shots, which again, our insurance co-op, EDC, is just, we'll push that really hard. I mean, when people are healthy, your insurance premiums stay low. When your insurance premiums stay low, everybody saves money. So wellness challenges like clubs and walking clubs and potlucks and things like that. We have a teacher that does yoga over at the middle school in the mornings. She's awesome. And then we did receive our top rating from our insurance co-op, which, again, nice little feather in our cap there. We have 26 deliverables that are part of our 3-year plan. Now, 2 of those we didn't complete because we didn't need to, and that was improve more kiosks for checking in at the elementary or at the schools. We didn't need that because we switched companies and people do it on their own now, so we didn't need additional kiosks for the secretaries to check people in. And then we were going to put a fence around the retaining area at the elementary school, which never really materialized with the water that we thought it would. And then still 2 in progress in regards to the play area and safety here. But 26 of them, out of the 26, there were 4 that are 2 abandoned, 2 still in progress. We also, outside of that plan, are on phase 3 of our shatter-resistant film on our schools. So again, our goal there is to harden our schools without making them feel hard, right? We don't want big fences and barbed wire and armed guards and things like that, but we want that level of protection for our kids and our staff. And so how do we harden without making it feel hard? Traffic bollards that you see have gotten their spring foliage in them, and then second exits in some of the PES classrooms. Resource management, we look at, again, those longevity incentives that we put in via the collective bargaining agreement. Again, that idea of recruit and retain was really part of this kind of resource management piece. Looking at leadership roles through BLT and Curriculum Council, really trying to build leaders throughout the district. Our sidewalk and bike lane plan with our villages, the grant has been submitted, and now we'll continue to work with our villages to do the study and hopefully get some sort of movement going on building some sidewalks for our kids. And then we piloted a bike bus program with an eye on expansion, and that's going to be a goal as we move forward to expand that in the future. Again, under resource management, our Jennifer Bant updated our PD pathways, our coaching cycles. We had 49 staff attend workshops and conferences. Our institutes align with our strategic plan, our strategic roadmap goals, and then we streamlined our mandated trainings this year. As far as community connection, obviously we've had several community forums this year. We implemented the 5 Essentials survey and tried to get that kind of completed. We use that to make adjustments. The administration meets regularly with TAP Jennifer Band, and I meet with the TAP leadership on a regular basis. Again, trying to continue those conversations across kind of different groups. We've had several events: literacy night, math nights, one book, one school, one book, one community. Our strategic roadmap updates have been in newsletters. That was one of our goals, is to communicate the strategic roadmap. And then we had some family outreach and EL support through things like new family tours, new family coffees. Kathleen did a kindergarten event this evening for families coming in, so thank you for that. And we're also looking at ongoing implementation of the Community Engagement Committee recommendations. So last month, the board reestablished those priorities and said, okay, yes, these are still things that we want to move forward on. Come up with a plan, Dave, and let's figure that out. And then again, new family coffees, tours, things like that. As we look forward to next year, some of the things that we're going to continue. So things that we started this year that we feel like we still need to move forward on are our multi-tiered systems of support, wanting to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all of our students, our social emotional programming, wellness, employee wellness initiatives, and that committee continuing to expand, continuing to offer new events and new things to our staff. We want to make Pleasantdale more walkable and bikeable, and we are going to figure out a way to do it. Griffin and I spent a good hour and a half driving our little 6-mile district to figure out how we can get kids from the other side of 294 up and around and all the way down. And so we think we got it worked out. So yeah, we're going to continue that, and then implementation of the community engagement committee suggestions and the board's priorities. As we look at some new things that we're going to be working on, We want to review and improve the club and extracurricular experiences for students. We really want I want kids to have experiences in this school that they can't get anywhere else, right? Where else are kids gonna, have a fishing club or something like that, right? I want kids to have some really unique experiences. So really tapping our staff for things that they're passionate about and can work with kids on, and finding out what kids want to do, and then finding staff to help support that. Providing more opportunities for unstructured play and problem solving for students. So this came out of that One Book, One Community. So in addition to kind of less screen time, we also want kids to have independent play, to, kind of the old days of go out and don't come home till the street lights go on. Now, we're not gonna take it quite that far, but having things like Play Club, where kids just come and it's unstructured playtime for kids. Study and implementation of exploratory classes at the middle school. So this has kind of been an ongoing conversation for a while. Do we want to have photography, industrial tech? Do we want to have family consumer sciences? Are those things that we value and that we want to provide to our kids? Again, study that and find out whether or not that's a direction that we want to go. Under safety and well-being, we're going to reconvene our district safety committee. We will use a different consultant this time to just get a new set of eyes on our systems. And again, we'll bring that committee back together, we'll create our 3-year plan, and we'll move forward in continuing to make our district as safe as it can be. We're going to train all staff in de-escalation techniques, and then implement a personal device-free environment district-wide. We've been piloting that in 5th grade, going well, and we're looking to roll that out district-wide next year. Under resource management, we want to provide those longevity, so essentially implementing the things that you find in the contract, right? Some of those longevity incentives, we want to figure out implement the sick day accumulation, vacation days, and accrual for 12-month employees, and then also that retirement incentive, and what does that look like, and how can we make sure that we're really incentivizing staff the way they should be. And then investigate additional storage solutions. We got a whole bunch of stuff like at the gym in the elementary school. Like we need to come up with some better storage solutions for our staff and for just a lot of stuff that we have, which is tough because not a lot of space. We'll figure it out. That's why it's a goal. Provide additional, under community connection, we want to provide additional opportunities for our students to have community service. And I think we definitely have at the middle school some great experiences with the kids going to Feed My Starving Children or doing drives or things like that. But what are some other ways that we can make sure that kids really feel that they're serving their community? Expand family night opportunities. So again, that math night, the family reading night, our science nights, things like that. How can we bring the community into the school and really celebrate learning? And then bringing community members into the school to provide a connection and support to our students. So some sort of like volunteer teacher corps, right? That can come in and work with students and really help support the great work that is happening in our classrooms. And then we need to, I think we need a refresh on our social media presence. I mean, I think we do a better job than most when it comes to social media and kind of getting that out there, but really having a more robust social media presence and using video a little bit more frequently. I think that's kind of the direction that things are going with TikTok and whatever Reels, or ask my kids about it. Ask your kids about it. They'll tell you. Okay, so that is kind of in a nutshell the goals for this year and the goals for next year. Any questions? There's a lot.
Yeah, I have a few things.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, just under the community connections, I really do appreciate how much I feel like you have been reaching out to the community, and I also wanted to mention those signs for the new kindergartners that we saw, when it says like the class of 2033. I'm like, oh my gosh, that seems so far away. But I love seeing those signs around the community and seeing where all of our new kindergartners are at.
We're actually going to do something this year that we're really excited about. So I got this idea. So I have a son who's a senior, and as your kids get older, you'll find that universities are constantly sending almost like these little care packages that have all kinds of like little banners and stickers and laptop and water bottles. So we're going to be sending something similar to that to our incoming kindergartners that have Pleasantdale stickers and a coloring page and a letter from the principal and a little banner that they can put on the fridge. Like So again, that kind of outreach,
So
really
welcoming.
making them feel welcome right from the
Very
beginning.
excited.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Becky.
No,
So,
that was great. I love the idea and I love the welcome,
Yeah, so
you know, it's amazing.
It's all that one.
I also really like the improvements to, like, on the safety front with the bollards and the shatterproof film on the, windows. And also thanks to Kristen Whitaker for decorating those bollards.
So
It's
great.
really great. And then regarding the device-free
Mhm.
implementation, you know,
Mhm.
what's the feedback that we've gotten from the parents and the teachers? How,
Yeah, so we did a 5-question survey last week, or was it this week? The beginning of this week. The feedback from teachers and parents was really pretty positive. I mean, there were a couple of people who were kind of like, oh, it makes me pretty uncomfortable. But for the most part, the vast majority of people understand the why and support it. The teachers were supportive of it as well and felt like they've got a little bit more focus. You know, 5th grade's a funny one because they, you know, had we done it with 8th grade, it may look a little bit like a little bit more attention from the kids. 5th graders, not all of them have devices in. Quite honestly, that's one of the reasons we chose 5th grade is because it's just a smaller lift for us and making sure that the devices are getting in there. The kids were less enthusiastic, as I'm sure you would find, you know. But at the end of the day, overall, what I think we'll find is when kids are more engaged, there's going to be more learning going on. And, you know, they're not, I don't know if kids are ever going to love it, but I think that over time they'll understand.
and my final question was regarding the WIN kind of overhaul. We
Mhm.
went from like 1 day a week
Mhm.
to now 5 days
Mhm.
a week. How are we like, measuring those outcomes? You know, like the difference that it's made going from 1 day a week to 5 days a week. Like, how do we determine if this is something that's valuable for us?
Yeah, I know that they've put out surveys. There's a SEL committee that is kind of looking into that as well and collecting feedback and giving feedback kind of in real time. And the program is going to evolve. You know, we're going to maintain the current level as long as we need the current level. And at some point, there is a very high likelihood that we'll pull back on that, right? But again, what we're seeing is not as many office referrals and things like that. We're seeing, I mean, I did take a WIN class for a week. It was fun.
Like at the school?
At the
Or
school, I
like-
took over
oh,
one of the
oh.
teachers' WIN
Oh, sorry,
classes for a
okay.
week. And so again, I think there are some definite positives to it. I think that it, like anything else, it continues to need to evolve and be made better, and we'll continue to do that.
What's the threshold for either pulling back or maintaining the same
I think
level?
we want to get to a point where we feel like we've addressed some of the social emotional needs of the kids. I mean, WIN is one part of a larger package, right? So in addition to WIN, we have we've increased the number of social work hours that we have at the school. We have a program called Tapestry that we partner with West 40, our intermediate service center, and they come in and work with kids. We have our own school psychologist in the school that is going to be kind of our person who's there. We've implemented a restorative justice kind of practices as well. So again, it's kind of like you want to continue to adjust and twist the knobs. I see us in the near future being able to pull back on it.
Well, and I understand that there's subjective aspects of this
Sure.
very much so, but to Becky's point, how are we ensuring that the outcomes are what we want and that the levels are
I
where
think
we
we want to
want?
bring those office referrals down. We want to see better decision-making from some of our students. We want to make sure that they're making those connections with the adults that they're working with. And those are some things that I think we'll use to kind of measure the effectiveness.
Was the WIT time when we were gonna start thinking about the executive functioning program?
We're also
Like,
doing that
we're using
in that.
that during that time, right?
Correct.
So I think that would have more tangible outcomes that we can maybe measure.
Maybe you could vary it by grade level too.
Absolutely.
Fifth, sixth,
All
seventh, eighth,
all
it's
ideas
different,
that
you know.
that are important to consider for sure. Anything else? All right.
Appreciate all the icons. That was new this time, thank you. This is really-
Trying to mix it up for you
I
guys.
was gonna say, I noticed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice.
All right. Oh, right, sorry. Our last item is board policies. So in the board packet includes a red line version of updates to board policies based on press policy service. The packet also includes board policies that have not changed since the last update, but are in the packet for review. So any questions, concerns, changes to the policies? Again, all based on press and kind of legal updates. Cool.
Okay. Next, we'll move into item 6, items for the next agenda, which include facilities update, review extracurricular student activities, approve school board section 2 board policies, student services update, spring testing report, approve the transportation contract, and approve the intergovernmental agreement between Pleasantdale 107 and West 40 Intermediate Service Center for participation in the Alternative Learning Opportunities Program. Do we have any?
I just had a question. So by the time we meet, we'll be done with the school year. So like this might be more of a written update, but just kind of how the yonder pouches, like
Oh, yeah.
like the outcome, like where
Sure.
we're at, if we're
Can I
gonna
put
move
in a
forward.
Friday update to you guys?
Yeah, whatever. I was just thinking after the end of the school year, that might be good timing. Thank you.
Perfect, can do.
Okay, next, okay, anyone else have anything else? Okay. Next is item 7, open forum. Do we have anyone that would like to approach the board at this time? Okay. And then we'll move into closed session for the following. So this one's a long one. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in an educational setting, or a volunteer of the public body, or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. The purchase or lease of real property for the use of public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired, and then student disciplinary cases. So can we get a motion for the Board of Education to go into closed session?
So moved.
1 and 2?
Mr. Bracco?
Yes.
Mrs. Langton?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion?
Yes.